Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chronicles of War. I'm Alex, and today we're going to be talking about the Attack of the Dead Men. Now, if I were to think about this before now, I could have had this be an episode for Halloween. But instead, I'm doing it now, because why not? So, Attack of the Dead Men. It took place August 6th of 1915, so we're in World War One. It's in a Soviet fortress, which is located in what is now modern-day northeastern Poland. It was 23 kilometers or 14 miles from the East Prussia border, and it protected a vital corridor between the Nemen and Vistula Bug rivers. I sure hope I'm pronouncing this stuff right. But so the German forces had their own original plan to attack on in September of 1914. And they had two failed attacks in February and March of 1915. And in early July of 1915, Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg made a plan for a third attempt. Now, you've got German forces on one side. The other side is Russia. So here is the plan. The plan is Germans are going to use chlorine and bromine gas to get the Russian defenders to flee, which that's not allowed anymore because that's a war crime now. But at the time, it wasn't a war crime. At least I don't think it was. Anyway, maybe it was. I honestly don't know. I don't know when chemical weapons got banned by Geneva. So maybe they were a war crime. I don't know. But so late July of 1915, 30 gas artillery batteries are deployed, and each one of these batteries had several thousand gas canisters. And the Russian troops, they don't have any good gas protection stuff. So like gas masks and whatnot, don't got any, at least not any good ones. So then after the gas was dispersed, the 76th Landwehr Regiment would then flank the enemy. The 18th Landwehr Regiment and the 147th Reserve Battalion would attack the sides. The 5th Landwehr Regiment and 41st Reserve would attack head-on. And the 75th Landwehr Regiment, and along with two reserve battalions, were to provide support for the 18th Landwehr Regiment attack. So there would be a backup for them. So here's the battle itself. At 4 a.m. on August 6th, a massive German artillery bombardment happens, and then the gas itself. The Russian positions are absolutely covered by gas clouds. This gas cloud, in fact, was 8 kilometers wide or 5 miles, and 20 kilometers or 12 miles deep. That's 5 by 12 mile cloud of poison gas. Because of this, mass casualties happened, as well as the Russian weapons and equipment were corroding from this. The 9th, 10th, and 11th companies of the 226th Zemlensky Infantry Regiment were wiped out almost immediately. There was 40 left of the 12th Company, and then another 60 from the 13th. So originally, at the fortress, there was 800 Russians. Now we're down to 100. And all of 100 of these Russians are heavily injured from the gas. So no, there's 100 of them injured by gas. The Germans absolutely outnumber them because there's 7,000 of them. And after this happens, 7,000 those 7,000 German troops, they move in. And they are met with the remnants of the 13th Company. Now, this part is why it's called the Attack of the Dead Men. Because the Germans are, when they see the Russians, they're absolutely terrified. Because the Russians are covered in blood. They are literally coughing up their lungs. Because the chlorine gas mixed with the moisture in their lungs and made hydrochloric acid inside their lungs, which is quite literally eating away at their lungs. So they're coughing up parts of their lungs. And the Germans, they see this and they flee in mass panic from this. And because of this, they get caught in their own barbed wire. The remains of the Russian artillery that aren't, completely destroyed from corrosion, they open fire on the German trench. And the 13th Company is commanded by Lieutenant Vladimir Karpovich Kolinsky. They attack the 18th Regiment. This forces the Germans to retreat. But at this time as well, Kolinsky ends up being mortally wounded. So, Second Lieutenant, I terribly apologize if I butcher this name, because it's a Polish, apparently. Second Lieutenant Władysław Strzemski. He takes over. He leads a bayonet charge even though he's heavily affected by the gas. And by 11 a.m., Germans have completely retreated. Then on the 18th, the Russian forces destroyed the fortress and fell back. So it starts at 4 a.m., it ends at 11. And the Germans lose. Technically. Yeah, well, not technically, they did lose. So, like 7 hours, if my math is correct, took for this. This whole thing was 7 hours long. The original forces being 7,000 Germans versus 800 Russians, taken down to 100 Russians, heavily wounded, and for the most of them actively dying Russians, versus said 7,000 Germans. And the Russians won because the Germans thought they were zombies. And that's why it's called the Attack of the Dead Men. So that's all for like the actual information I have on the battle. But the way I learned about this battle actually was I've mentioned before some of my other topics, a Sabaton song by the same name, Attack of the Dead Men. It's pretty good. It's a really good song. That's how I ended up learning about this battle. That's why we got this episode. If I'm remembering correctly, because it's been a while since I wrote the notes for this episode. Like, I planned to do this episode a while ago, but then I pushed it back. But I'm pretty sure one of the Russian defenders survived. And I'm pretty sure he later became like a really famous painter from that area. I think. I don't remember who it was. I think it was it might have been that one guy I mentioned that I couldn't pronounce the name of. I can't remember. But I do remember there's this dude that became like a famous, like I think a famous in the area or at the time a painter or some sort of artist did some sort of art and he became kind of famous for it. Were in the area, I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I can't remember if it's true or not. But yeah, that's the Attack of the Dead Men. Um, I yeah. Thanks for tuning to listen. Um, if you want, I mean, if you want to know when episodes come out, if you're on YouTube, subscribe and turn notifications on. Um, Also, what you can do is follow the official Chronicles of War Twitter account at here's how you spell it. It's at Chronicles OFF44. The C in Chronicle, the first C in Chronicles is capitalized as well as OFF. They're all capitalized. I announce like, hey, this episode's been uploaded, or sorry, there's gonna be a delay on this episode. Things like that. Um, Also, I mentioned previously in the past, like maybe possibly, and there goes my phone that I'm using for notes. I don't need it anymore. I'm done with the notes. I've mentioned previously, like how I mentioned, getting a new podcast too, because that's why I've been recording at home. Well, I am currently being trained on the new podcast system, so eventually, yeah, video for YouTube, video format for YouTube. I might actually have video for it, and it's not just going to be me talking. Maybe again, also that's going to be probably a while till that happens because I just started training back on Friday of last week. At least as of this being uploaded and recorded, technically is the same week, but back on last Friday is when I started the train. So stick around to see if I don't know if it's gonna happen, but it might. Oh right, one other thing. Send me stuff you want me to cover. Like I'd absolutely love it if like viewers, my audience, gave me suggestions on like events to cover. Like it doesn't matter to me what period you could do. Just like do military history. Like I don't really care what era of military history. Is just military history in general. That's all I care about, is that it's military history. I don't care what country it is about. Like you could do from U.S. military history, France, Canada, Australia, Britain. I don't Germany. I don't care where it's from, what time period. Just give me stories you want me to cover. They can be battles, just figure people, companies and whatnot, groups, maybe like special operations. If it's not, maybe on occasion, maybe like a war if it's not overly large. Like, I'm not gonna cover like World War I or World War II on here. Like, I'm sorry, but like I'll cover individual battles, but I am not gonna go and do an entire episode on like World War I or World War II. Just not gonna happen because it's too broad of a subject. But you can suggest them. Comments of videos on YouTube, on Twitter. I think my pinned comment on Twitter. You can comment and be like, hey, you should cover the XYZ, or you can DM me on Twitter. I'm like 75% sure they're open. Yeah, no, my DMs are open. I do know that because of all the spam bots that constantly message me. But yeah, you can message me there. On YouTube, I'm going to have my the email address for the podcast that you can also send me stuff to go over. Um, because the reason I'm doing it in the description of YouTube is because when I made the email, I did a misspelling because that just happens. I misspelled some part of the address, and now it's stuck that way. So that's why I need to just have it written out. But I theoretically, if I remember tomorrow when I edit and upload this episode, then yeah, because this episode, and probably episodes in the future, at the very least on YouTube anyway, are going to be pre-uploaded and scheduled for probably like 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, because I have free time. Because 10 o'clock, I mean not 10 o'clock, because on Wednesdays I don't really have free time until like either after till like either 1 in the afternoon, or well, not that I don't have freedom, more so don't have a chance to upload and edit and whatnot until either 1 in the afternoon or like I think 6 o'clock. So, and since I'd like it's always been Wednesday mornings for the most part. Again, I'm gonna upload them on Tuesday. Schedule them Tuesdays to upload 10 a.m. Wednesdays. So theoretically, this one should come out on the 3rd at August 3rd at 10 a.m. Sorry, not August, September. But yeah, thank you. I've been rambling. That do be what happens. But oh, also, share the podcast with like people you know they're interested in military history. You know, or just history in general. And another thing, idea I've just had now, I might start another podcast. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I don't know for sure I'm going to do it, but I might start another one. Don't know what my upload. I don't know details about it because I quietly just thought of it as I was recording this. But stay tuned maybe to find out more about that. But anyway, until next time, keep learning history.